Along the quiet banks of the River Venne rises a fortress that once held kings, imprisoned knights, and changed the fate of France. It is here that the Knights Templar were condemned, and where a teenage girl convinced a desperate prince that she was sent by God. This is the Fortress of Chinon, one of the most powerful and mysterious strongholds in medieval Europe. The Fortress of Chinon sits atop a rocky ridge in the heart of the Loire Valley, a strategic location that has been prized since Roman times. But its true story, the story of its rise to power, began in the 10th century. Ambitious and powerful local counts recognized that this very spot was the key to controlling all of western France. They began construction, creating a fortress unlike any other. Its unique, long and linear design stretched across the ridge, allowing its defenders to completely dominate the river traffic below and the lucrative trade routes that crisscrossed the landscape. This ingenious design made Chinon more than just a military stronghold. It became a political prize, a symbol of dominance that everyone wanted to possess. As the centuries passed, its walls grew taller, its towers more imposing, and its reputation spread across the continent. Chinon was destined for greatness, but no one could have predicted the epic history that would unfold within its stone walls. The fortress truly reached its zenith under the sprawling Angevin Empire, ruled by one of the most powerful and formidable kings of the Middle Ages, Henry II of England. His vast domains stretched from the cold shores of England all the way to the Pyrenees Mountains separating France and Spain. For Henry, Chinon was not just another castle. It was a primary royal residence, a center of government, and a treasury. He poured immense resources into expanding it, transforming it into a palace fortress worthy of an emperor. But for all its glory, Chinon also became the site of his greatest personal tragedy. In 1189, after years of bitter conflict, Henry died right here, betrayed by his own sons. Richard the Lionheart and Joan, his body lay in state within these walls before its final journey to the nearby Fontevraud Abbey. Chinon, for the Angevin kings, was a place of immense power and glory, but also one of profound sorrow and heartbreak. Over a century later, in 1308, Chinon's name became linked with one of the darkest and most enduring mysteries of the medieval world, the downfall of the Knights Templar. Once the most revered and powerful military order in all of Christendom, the Templars had fallen afoul of the French king, Philip IV, who was deeply in their debt. Accused of heresy, dozens of high-ranking Templar knights, including their Grand Master Jacques de Molay, were arrested and imprisoned within the cold, dark towers of Chinon. Here, far from public view, they were interrogated and confessions were extracted under duress. Papal envoys were sent to record their secret testimonies, creating a document that would become known as the Chinon Parchment. This controversial series of events, orchestrated by a king desperate for wealth and power, led directly to the official dissolution of the Templar Order. The fortress that had once been a royal palace became a prison, its name forever tied to a story of betrayal, intrigue, and a legend that still fascinates us today. Then, in the spring of 1429, with France on the brink of collapse during the 100 Years' War, Chinon became the stage for one of the most improbable and dramatic encounters in all of history. A teenage peasant girl from a small village, claiming to hear the voices of saints, arrived at the fortress. Her name was Joan of Arc. She had traveled across enemy territory to meet Charles, the uncrowned and deeply insecure heir to the French throne. The royal court was skeptical, so they devised a test. Charles disguised himself, hiding among his courtiers in the Great Hall. But according to the legend, Joan, who had never seen him before, walked straight through the crowd and identified him instantly. This single act convinced the desperate prince that she was truly guided by God. Shortly after this fateful meeting, Charles entrusted her with an army. She marched to the besieged city of Orleans and, against all odds, lifted the siege. Joan's arrival at Chinon was the turning point. It was here that the tide of the war shifted and the journey toward a unified France truly began. But as centuries passed and the nature of warfare changed, the mighty fortress of Chinon slowly lost its strategic importance. The age of cannon fire made its high walls vulnerable, and the royal court moved to more luxurious palaces elsewhere. By the 17th century, the once great stronghold was largely abandoned. It served time as a state prison before falling into neglect. The roofs of its grand halls collapsed, its walls crumbled, and nature began to reclaim the stone. For a time, it seemed that Chinon, this witness to so much history, would simply disappear, becoming a forgotten ruin on a lonely hill. But in the 19th and 20th centuries, a new appreciation for history emerged. Historians, archaeologists, and the French state launched massive restoration efforts. They weren't trying to rebuild a military fortress, but to preserve a priceless historical monument, ensuring that the stories held within its stones would not be lost forever. Today, visiting the Fortress of Chinon is like walking through the pages of a history book. You can stand in the very same halls where the Angevin kings held court, trace the carvings left by imprisoned Templar knights in the Coudray Tower, and imagine the moment Joan of Arc met her future king. Modern technology and interactive exhibits bring this incredible story to life. Restored towers offer breathtaking panoramic views over the River Vienne and the Loire Valley, looking much as they did centuries ago. The fortress no longer stands as a crumbling ruin, but as a living chronicle of French history, a testament to the triumphs and tragedies that shaped a nation. It's a place where the past feels incredibly present, inviting you to connect with the legendary figures who once walked its ramparts. Few places in Europe have witnessed such a concentration of defining historical moments. The Fortress of Chinon is more than just a castle. It's a place where empires were won and lost, where legends were forged in fire and faith, and where the very destiny of France was rewritten, stone by powerful stone. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more stories from history's most fascinating locations.